This is my boy, Detective Green Cut.
Come on. You have a seat. There you go. Oh, okay. Once again, I'm Detective Cayenne. This is my partner, Detective Green. How do you pronounce your name?
Akiyemi Borosade.
Akiyemi Borosade? Okay. I know a lot has transpired tonight. You've probably been in contact with several members of your unit, sergeants, lieutenants, things of that nature. Do you understand what's been going on? You've been informed. I guess you spoke to internal affairs as well as your lieutenant. Well, you actually don't have a lieutenant, correct?
Lieutenant Sunday.
Okay, Lieutenant Hack Sunday. He's your acting lieutenant, or is he like the lieutenant of your squad?
My squad Watch 3.
Okay, but you don't have a sergeant. Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't have a sergeant.
Got you. So, there was a criminal allegation tonight, and that's the reason why the integrity unit gets called, okay? So within JSO, you have the internal affairs that deals with policy and procedures, and we deal with any time laws may be violated, okay? What I have to do, per our policy and procedures, due to the fact that this is a criminal investigation, I do have to advise you of your constitutional rights. You understand? Okay. You have any questions before we get started? All right. Have you ever been here before? This is the integrity office, okay?
I've only been on the streets since February.
What do we know?
April.
So you've been on, I guess technically
Solo.
for about two and a half months? Okay. What beat do you ride?
Golf 2.
Okay. What shift?
Watch 3.
Watch 3. Do you ride with, we know you don't have partners, but do you have like a constant 35?
Not since I moved to Watch 3 now.
Where did you start at?
Watch 6.
Mm-hmm. How long you been on Watch 3?
This is my second motorcycle.
Gotcha. All right, the time is 12:48. Correction, 12:48 a.m. Can you spell your first name?
AK.
A-K.
I-N.
I-N.
Y-E.
Y-E. Akinai?
M-I.
You pronounce it Akinai?
A-K-I-N-Y-E-M-I.
A-K-I-N-Y-E-M-I.
M-I.
Okay. And Akinami?
Akiyemi.
Akiyemi. And Borosade, right?
Yes, sir.
Which is B-O-R.
I-S. A-D-E.
A-D-E. What's your date of birth?
August 26, 1989.
August 26 of 89. And that makes you how old?
26.
Okay. Watch 3. What color squad is that, blue or gold?
Gold.
Okay. So basically, let me just go over these with you. And I know it's something that you do on the streets every day, okay? So I'm not trying to treat you like you don't understand or you don't know, but it's just something that we have to do for our policy and procedures, okay? And it says, you do have the following rights under the United States Constitution. You do not have to make a statement or say anything. Do you understand? Is that yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything you say can be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before you make a statement or before any questions are asked of you, and to have that lawyer with you during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you can't afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning, if you wish. You understand?
Yes, sir.
If you do answer questions, you have the right to stop answering questions at any time and consult with your lawyer. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So real quick, Officer Borosade, and I don't want to take this as something small, or I don't want to make it something big, okay? This basically is your constitutional rights and says you have the right to talk to us if you want to, or you have the right to talk to us through an attorney. You understand all these rights,
Yes, sir.
and you're good with it, and you're willing to give us a statement of what happened tonight.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sign right here, brother. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Officer Borsati, what do you like to be called?
Yummy.
Yummy. All right, Yummy. And like I said, you can call me Ed or Ed Cayenne and Darren Green. Okay, so tonight while working, okay, and I'm not gonna really, I'm just gonna touch on the reasons you got called to come in contact with Myra Martinez.
Yeah.
Give me real brief, a quick synopsis of how you got the call.
She dispatched myself and another officer to the
Who was the other officer?
Officer Vickery
Officer Vickery. Okay.
to the call out was a drunk dispute, single 2 and 63
Mm-hmm.
at Scores off of University Boulevard right by Phillips Highway.
Yes, sir.
So I get there first and we make contact and we talk to her first because she's outside first. So she's saying that they kicked her out and she doesn't have her belongings and whatnot. So I went in there to see if they had her belongings,
Okay.
and they did. So
And all right. So, real quick, they kicked her off for what reason?
they said that today was her first day, and then she decided she wanted to quit. And then there was like, okay, you can leave. She never left
Okay.
the
So-
premise.
So basically, they kicked her out because they wanted her gone. She didn't want to leave, but she's intoxicated.
Yes.
As a result of her intoxication, at some point, she's arrested. You guys make the determination to arrest her.
Not based off of that.
Okay.
Based off of we informed her that the management of the establishment wanted her to leave, and like as far as like trespassing and
Yes, sir.
whatnot, and then we gave her numerous opportunity and chances to leave as far as verbal, and we just waited there for like, are you gonna leave? Are you gonna walk? Because you're intoxicated. You can call an Uber. You can do whatever.
Right. And she refused.
She refused. She just stood there and just kept like arguing, saying like, "Why are y'all messing with me? I'm not the one that did anything."
Totally understandable. So,
whatnot.
the probable cause you guys met, you felt, was for trespass after warning, I'm guessing,
Yes.
and public intoxication.
Yeah, disorderly.
Subsequently, she's arrested.
Yes, sir. But
Who arrested her, you or Officer Vickery?
that's the thing. We went to detain her, and she began to fight there.
Gotcha.
So we charged her with resisting with violence as well,
Gotcha.
because she kicked at us and swung towards us as well.
Who was the primary officer on the call?
Officer Vickery was primary. I was acting as a backup.
You was 35.
Yes, sir.
So, in your responsibilities as a 35, you were there to assist him. You
Mhm.
made the arrest
Yes, sir.
of what you would consider a drunken female who refused to leave the premises after she'd been warned. She was requested to leave after her supervisor asked her, and then after police warned her.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then she became a little bit violent and erratic. I noticed in the arrest report, I think you guys smelled the odor of alcohol coming from her mouth
Yes, sir.
during your communications with her. Was she, other than being intoxicated, did she appear to possibly could have been on drugs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What indications gave you that?
Just the overall behavior, the speech. Usually, when I come in interaction with people who are just intoxicated, it's just different.
Okay.
But you could tell she was just on something else.
Gotcha. So now you guys make the arrest and she begins kicking. You get her into the car. Do you guys apply the hobble?
Not right away. I
Okay.
call I got on the radio because we tried getting on the radio during the scuffle,
Yes, sir.
but everybody kept stepping over us and
Okay.
whatnot. But eventually we got her detained, got her in the car.
What car?
His car,
His
Officer
car.
Victory.
Okay.
And then I got on the radio and I asked for the PIC to respond to the scene,
Okay.
which is Officer Gary. He responded, and I told him on the radio that we were gonna tar her because she was kicking the back window.
So the communications that's going to be heard via the radio is going to be you calling for
PIC
PSC Garriott, you asking for permission to
tar.
tar because she was already hobbled, right?
She wasn't hobbled.
Oh, she wasn't hobbled at all
No,
yet at
she
that
was
point.
just in the back seat.
She was in the back seat,
handcuffs.
handcuffed. You said it. I think you said she was kicking.
Yes, she was kicking the back window.
Okay, which is what gave you the reason to want
Yes,
to
sir.
tar her. Officer Garrett, does he respond to the
He
scene?
responds to the scene, and other officers show up as well. They decided it's best to just use the hobble, and we put the hobble on.
Who applied the hobble?
It was myself,
Okay.
and we put the hobble on, and it's like threaded through the door and whatnot.
Gotcha. Hmm.
And then immediately we leave and take her to the jail.
So, I guess you decided to follow Officer Vickery to the jail.
Yes, sir.
Why?
It's protocol.
Okay.
Just when you're transporting someone that is already being placed in a tar or a hobble.
Got you. So you respond to the scene, you help him out, and then you apply the hobble on her in his vehicle. You follow him to the jail.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you guys pull into the Sally Port. What transpires there?
Going to the side where she sits in the back seat while he completes the docket.
Mm-hmm.
I did the narrative of the docket.
Why'd you do the narrative of the docket?
I used to work with DCF, and I'm pretty good with writing reports
No
and
problem.
whatnot.
Okay. So he was doing the arrest report, and I guess you were doing the docket on what, like a Microsoft Word document?
Yes, I was doing
Okay, so you were giving him the narrative
Yes,
and then
sir.
going to shoot it to him on email or something of that nature.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So that's going on. So you're actually not in the car communicating with Martinez at all during that point, correct?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay. At some point, you shoot him your narrative,
Yes, sir.
and then what happened?
And then I give him the narrative, and then he put it in the report and sent it to my PIC, Officer Gary.
Mm-hmm.
He approves it, and from there we get all her property, and we put it on the floor near the door. And he says that he has to go on a robbery deployment, and he's like, "You don't mind just staying with her?" I was like, "Sure, that's fine. I have
Okay.
no issue with that."
Cool. So you guys get her out of it. Was there any struggle to get her out of the vehicle?
No, sir.
Okay, so she comes out and she's compliant to get out of the vehicle of Vickery's car, right?
Yes, sir. It's
And
like,
then he walks her up to the Sally Port door, the back door to jail.
I walk her.
Okay, so you walk her out. Who gets her property out of his car?
He brings the property.
Okay. And then gives it to you, I'm guessing, tells you he has to leave for the robbery deployment.
Yes, sir.
He sends the docket and just waiting for approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well,
What-
the docket was already approved prior to her getting out the car.
Okay. So now all she's doing is standing at the back door waiting for the door to
Yeah.
open up. You guys to let her in, and I guess at that point you probably hand the purse to correction officer.
Yes, sir.
Fine. What happens?
From there, she just keeps being disorderly, irate, belligerent, yelling, saying, "I'm gonna come after you, your family. You guys are all wrong. Y'all arrested the wrong person," and basically what most people who have been arrested do.
Well, not most people do, but probably intoxicated people is what you're trying to say.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
there's other officers there that take note of her behavior as well.
Mhm.
Like there's a homicide detective there.
Mm-hmm.
She's a whiskey foxtrot with short hair.
Detective Simpson.
Yes, sir. She was there, and she was saying like, "Geez, she's really like riled up." There was another guy from like CSX Rail Yard
Okay.
saying that her behavior was noticeable as well. From there, she just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And then eventually she yells, she charges towards me, and that's when I put my hands like on her shoulders right here and got her back to the wall where the door is. And that's when the incident took place, as far as her kicking me and me responding.
All right, you say that. Let me ask you a question, because in your short time that you've been with the agency, how many intoxicated people have you dealt with? Would you say?
I can't put a number to it.
I'm just saying, how many times you think? Maybe 1 to 5, 5 to 10?
I'm just saying numerous.
Okay.
I mean, I can't put a number to it, honestly.
Okay. So, you made multiple arrests for intoxication during your course of training and since you've been by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how do they act?
Belligerent, obscene. Like she was acting.
Okay. So, besides her verbalizing and being belligerent, like not listening to what you're saying, what else was she doing?
I mean, she kept crossing the line where like the officers stand, and so the line that separates like the soon-to-be prisoners and the officers. Basically, from what I've been taught, is that they're not supposed to cross that line because it's like officer safety. You don't want them getting too close to like other officers and whatnot. So I advise her to stop crossing the line and whatnot.
So you basically wanted her to stand by the door.
Yes, sir.
That line really and truly is an imaginary thing for law enforcement officers that go to the... There is no line that says a suspect can't walk around. We would like to keep control and command of them, right?
Yes, sir.
But there's that whole thing about that line is... And I'm going to ask you, okay, because you recently came out of the academy, so you probably know these rules better than I do, okay? Is there anything in our policy and procedures that says they can't walk around while they're in there?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've never seen anything that says a suspect can't walk, especially intoxicated ones, because you get some belligerent ones, okay? I've made a couple of arrests in my times, and you get people who are pissed off at you, the drunk ones, the ones that are on drugs and stuff like that, and they act I don't know this girl. I'm suspecting that if she probably hadn't ingested alcohol and or drugs, she probably wouldn't have acted this way. I don't know that for sure. But at a point in time, there is some limitations on what we can and can't do. You know what I'm saying? And the number one limitations that we have to follow is the fact that when they're in handcuffs, yes, you can, just like you said, she comes out, she passes what you would consider as an imaginary line, and you escort her back towards the door. Correct?
I don't know if I consider it an imaginary line. I mean, at what point, just because a person's in handcuffs doesn't mean they're not a threat, and they could be a harm to themselves. I mean, they're told to stand right there for a reason, I feel like, because they could be a harm to themselves by easily running out of the sally port and running into traffic, or running towards an officer and like bum rushing me like she probably intended to do.
Totally understandable. Were the bay doors down on both ends?
I can't recall.
Okay. So when you're saying a harm to herself, if she's a harm to herself, you're arresting her for a misdemeanor?
It was a felony charge.
It was a felony charge. Did you notify the back door that, she had self-harm issues?
No, I didn't say that she personally herself is a harm to herself. I'm saying people in general can be a harm to themselves as far as prisoners and walking around freely.
Right. But I'm just saying, let's just stay with the incident with Miss Martinez, because that's all we can talk about. Because yes, you may have a different experience at the back door than I've had, but a lot of that can't be taken into account right now because it's just your experience with Miss Martinez. Now, I would totally agree with you. She probably wasn't following your instructions. I would say that. What instructions did you give her?
To stand by the door and wait for her name to be called.
Okay.
And
And
don't cross the line.
and her response was,
If you mean this line, and like touched it with her foot, and I was just like, okay. I didn't react then.
what is it about that line that pissed you off? Just that she
It
wasn't.
didn't piss me off.
Okay.
The line didn't piss me off. It's nothing. That didn't piss me off.
So did something get you angry?
No.
Okay.
I mean, she ran towards me. I didn't know what she was gonna do. She could have spit in my face. She could have bit me. Like she still had limbs and body parts that could have attacked me. Still,
In what way?
she could have bit me.
Okay.
She could have kicked me like she did. She could have shouldered me like with her shoulder off the curb that I was standing on.
Mm-hmm. And what does the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office policy and procedures state about suspects that are handcuffed? Are we allowed to strike them?
Yes, sir.
In what way? Because she was handcuffed, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you strike her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you strike her with an open hand or a closed fist?
Closest.
Do you remember the amount of times you struck her?
I believe it was 3
Okay. Where did you strike her at?
in the stomach.
Okay. In like I said, you recently came from the academy, so I'm thinking that you're you're more well versed in that aspect of, active resistance and things of that, and use of force. Where in the academy that they allow us to punch suspects that are handcuffed?
I mean, at that point, she's physically and actively resisting.
Okay, if you're saying she tried to kick you, which is what you said, right?
She didn't try to. She did.
Okay, so she kicks you. And your response is you ball a fist up and you punch her 3 times in the stomach. What part of that falls under JSO protocol? I mean, we have takedown procedures, right? If she's using her legs. Would you agree with that? And also, Borsai, like I said, I can totally understand a reaction sometimes, okay? You're not a bad guy, okay? I think you're a good young officer. And I do believe she was intoxicated. I spoke with her and she admitted that. It's a possibility she ingested drugs. So I think with the duo of both alcohol and or drugs in her system, she probably wasn't thinking clearly. Okay, but at a certain point in time, Officer Borsai, we as law enforcement officers, we have protocols that we have to follow as well. And see, what happens is when we deal with intoxicated, mentally ill people of that nature, they'll do things to kind of, piss us off. But what we have to do is we have to remain above them. And you are absolutely right. She has no right whatsoever to kick you as a human being, first and foremost. Forget being a police officer. She does not have a right to kick you. Okay, but at that point, let me ask you this. If the situation happened again, same situation, is there a different way it could have been handled, would you say? Or would you have the same reaction?
Probably, I could have handled it different.
What would you have done differently? me get some napkins, if you don't mind.
Yep.
What do you think you would have done differently? Hey, real quick, man. Look at me, Oscar. Detective, trust you, man. I'm not judging you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to belittle you. I'm not here to I'm not angry with you. I'm not upset with you or anything like that. I'm just saying, would you agree with me? Would you agree with me that they give us a big thing? And for you guys are a little bit different. You guys get everything on the computer now, but they give us. When I was coming out, they gave us multiple different books. You know, we get the general orders, we get the policy and procedures, we get the municipal ordinance, the field report manual of how we document reports and stuff like that. And there's a whole lot of information that basically, we're bound by, as well as Florida state statutes, right? And within these documents, they tell us what we can and we can't do. They can't tell you how you can feel emotionally, okay? And I can tell you were upset, and you have a right to be upset. But within those books, they tell us, hey, if you have this situation happen, this is how far you can go. Or this is how your response should be. Now we put all the emotions and we put the alcohol and the drugs and everything, and you put that in a boiling pot of water, nothing good's gonna come to the end of it. You understand? And you experiencing in your young career a situation like that, I can 100% guarantee you, most police officers have been there and done that. We combined in here, we probably got close to 40 years of law enforcement experience. And I can't tell you the number of times we dealt with some people like Miss Martinez who probably acted totally out of character tonight, because I can't believe that female will go around and be belligerent, not following instructions and things of that nature. And like I said, nothing that she did tonight gives her a right to do what she did to you. But on the other hand, what we did, in response to her, emotions, do you think it was right, was wrong, could have been better handled?
I mean, it's just like either way, I feel like either way it would have looked bad because I'm a guy and she's a girl. Like if I would have took her down to the ground, she wouldn't have landed on her hand. She wouldn't have been able to catch herself. She would have landed on her face. And that would have looked really bad on camera, just like what I did looks bad on camera.
What do you think looked bad?
I guess the amount of times I hit her.
Okay. What you just said, male or female? If it was a male, would you have been justified doing what you did tonight? Because remember something, we don't put gender on suspects. We don't put race on suspects. We don't put religion on suspects. Suspects are suspects, and they come in all shapes, sizes, young, old, male, female, and things of that nature. And what we got to understand is suspects' acts are sometimes unpredictable. Okay? But that's what makes us being held to a higher standard. Because no matter what the suspect do, the law enforcement officer have to respond in a certain manner. And the manner that we respond, we are bound by the policy and procedures of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the general orders, and Florida state statutes. And if we go out of that and we violate policy and procedures, then yeah, we deal with internal affairs. But if we violate state statute, then you deal with the integrity unit. So What I don't want you to leave here and think tonight that if that was a guy, your reaction would have been justified.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Because they don't tell you, or you have to give me the name of the person that tells you it's okay to punch somebody multiple times that are handcuffed. Right? That
Yes.
totally goes against our policy and procedure. So like I said, if given the opportunity to do it all over, what different decisions could have been made?
Walk away.
Mm-hmm. Or how about, knocking on the jail window and saying, hey, fellas, can we get a female to this back door so we can get her in here? We've already tussled with her once. We don't want to do it again. She's being belligerent. Guys, help me out. You see what I'm saying? Because our job is to deliver them to that back door and then get them on the other side of that gray door. Because once we do, then it's the correction officer's issues to deal with.
But at that point, they don't have enough female officers, so the wait is so long. When you have a female, I'm not trying to make an excuse for anything of what I did, but it's just
But
I feel like what happened if I would have walked away, she would have thought that it was okay to do that to another officer, and then it's my fault.
No, see, and I know sometimes these are the myths that you're told in FTO, okay? And when I tell you that, Detective Green and myself, we've been in the same predicaments, okay? So yes, you have a lot of things that we believe in police work that's not really true. Like that imaginary line. You're the first person I've heard say that. Like, don't let them cross that line. Because if an officer, if somebody wants to walk across, your job is to get control and command. So we have escort positions, right? Okay, we have transport positions. Hey, get them back to that wall and say, hey, ma'am, look, real quick, you're pissed off, you're arrested. Hey, you have an opportunity to deal with it by speaking to a judge or an attorney when you get assigned one. But what happens is they escalate, and then we respond. And we can't do that outside of policy and procedures. And that's the only thing I'm trying to get you to understand. All right? Let me do this. Let me go outside and speak to my supervisor. Okay? What questions do you have of me, Officer Borsati?
I just don't want to lose my job.
Okay. Well, do understand, Detective Green and Detective Kyan, we don't make those decisions. Our job is we investigate the case. Okay? We investigate the case. We sit down and we convene with the lieutenant of the unit, the sergeant of the unit, as well as the prosecutor over our unit. And then, we put the investigating facts together. Okay? The interviews we get from both parties and or any witnesses outstanding. And then we let them make the decisions. Okay? Any other questions? Here's your opportunity to ask.
I mean, I don't know what to ask. It's like, I don't know.
You got a lot going through your head right now, probably. And if there's something I can help clarify for you, let me do that.
Where do I find out what's gonna happen?
Okay, well, okay, so I'm gonna go speak to my supervisor. All right. I think you spoke with Sergeant Brown of the Internal Affairs. He may want to come in and talk to you as well. But let me get out here and speak to my supervisor, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kind of let you know what steps we take next. All right. If you got to use the bathroom, just knock on the door. Okay.
So,
All right. Stand by.